The pizza box was open, cold. The cheese hardened into rubber. Candles sat unlit on the cake. And there he was, my father-in-law, slumped in his chair, staring at the door like hope had already died. Then the phone rang, a video call. My husband and his mother, basking in Hawaiian sunlight, laughing. "Have fun with the cripple," they jeered. I felt his body flinch beside me. And then he stood. His legs shook but held. He looked me in the eyes, his voice low and steady. "It's showtime. Let's make them pay." That was the moment everything changed. I used to believe I married into love. He was the man I thought would protect me, cherish me, build a life worth living. Instead, I inherited a cage, a husband who wore charm like a mask, and a mother-in-law whose venom dripped in every word she spoke. At first, I thought their cruelty toward his father was grief, some twisted way of coping with his paralysis. But grief doesn't laugh when a man struggles to breathe. Grief doesn't starve him on birthdays. Grief doesn't call him dead weight. I watched it, quietly, and every time, my husband smiled. The betrayal revealed itself in fragments. A business trip that stretched into weeks. Money siphoned into hidden accounts. Whispers of a mistress in the very hotel I used to dream we'd visit together. But the Hawaii call, laughing while the old man sat alone in the dark, that was the knife that stopped twisting and drove straight through. I didn't break. I recalculated. We planned together. Strange, isn't it? The man I thought was broken became my ally, my partner in vengeance. While they laughed on beaches, we rebuilt in shadows. He wasn't as weak as they wanted him to believe, and I wasn't as naive as they thought I was. First, the legal web. Every document my husband left behind, I collected. Tax filings, hidden transfers, offshore accounts. The kind of evidence that turns wealth into a weapon, but in the wrong hands. Then, the recordings. I placed my phone on the table during their calls, captured every insult, every admission, every cruel laugh. Enough to dismantle reputations in court, in business, in society. Meanwhile, his father trained, one step at a time. Behind closed doors, he forced his body to remember strength. Not perfect, not painless, but progress. The man they abandoned became the cornerstone of their destruction. By the time they returned from Hawaii, tan and smug, the trap was already set. I greeted them at the door with a smile. He wheeled himself into the living room, playing the role they expected. Silent, helpless. My husband kissed my cheek like nothing had changed. His mother sneered at the cake still sitting untouched. And then, our moment. He rose, slow, deliberate, every step echoing like thunder. Their faces drained of color. And before they could speak, I pressed play on the recording. Their voices filled the room. Cripple, dead weight, laughter sharp as glass. I watched them choke on their own words. The fallout wasn't fast. I didn't want fast. I wanted thorough. The evidence went to the courts, to the press, to the very boardrooms that once respected my husband. Fraud, infidelity, elder abuse. It unraveled him, piece by piece, reputation by reputation. His mother? She wasn't spared. Her own words, her own laughter broadcast in every corner of the family she pretended to lead. She became a pariah in her own circle. I didn't need to scream. The recordings screamed for me. The climax wasn't a fight. It was silence. The kind that settles when power shifts, when the mighty realize they've been small all along. I looked him in the eye, my husband, stripped of everything, and whispered, "You taught me silence. Now drown in it." Now the house feels different, lighter. His father, my ally, sits at the head of the table, no longer invisible, no longer mocked. He may walk with a limp, but his presence is a fortress. My husband lives in exile of his own making. No money, no status, just the echo of laughter that once belonged to him, now played back as evidence of his downfall. And his mother? Well, she has no one left to poison. Revenge isn't about fire. It's about patience. It's about letting your enemies build their own gallows, then handing them the rope. That night, when he stood and said, "It's showtime," I realized something. We weren't just punishing them, we were reclaiming ourselves. And now, when I pass by that cold pizza box, untouched and forgotten, I don't see loneliness anymore. I see the beginning of their end. Because justice doesn't always wear a robe. Sometimes it wears silence. Sometimes it wears a smile. And sometimes it wears the legs of a man they thought would never stand again.